Okay, so everybody has a document,
yeah,
right?
there are things that we need to.
So welcome, I'm Kristie, and this is Christina. And we both teach on the same team at Javale, both in first grade, and we have another fearless first grade teacher with us, but she's not here, she got to go over and gas. So it's our pleasure to come and talk to our reading workshop, and we're not experts at all. We just actually put this on our IPGP, and then our principals approached us and said, oh, why don't you do something for reading? So we were going to kind of ease our way in to reading workshop this year, but then we got so excited about it, we just started doing it.
Yeah, we were finding that it was just really easy to jump into and wanted to get rolling on it. So we starting it off just like any of you guys. So actually we wanted to ask, who is using reading workshop in their classroom right now? See a show of hands.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah, we did a little bit more than most people did. They actually tried it. That's great.
All right, so we'll kind of keep this more as an introduction to like what it is then. I'm going to give you an overview.
We wanted it to be where you're participating. We don't want to stand up here and talk to you the whole time. So we designed it as a workshop. It's about workshop, but it's going to be a workshop for you to actually try out a lot of what we're doing. But if you want to talk about how we got started.
Yeah, so how we get started with this, we found that there are grade level videos on the Teachers College website, and those were really helpful. We just kind of saw what the structure of reading workshop looked like and said, oh, okay, this looks familiar, especially because we're already using writing workshop. This is just for reading. And then we also watched the Units of Study reading videos from Lucy Calkins herself, talking about how they put this together and why they really want it to be K-2 now, which is a new program that just came out, and how we can really make reading better using this workshop model. We read parts of the books in our kits. We certainly did not go through every line and highlight everything, but we got a sense of it and started feeling, okay, I think we can start this, we can kind of build off each other. And then we use social media. There's a great Teachers College group on Facebook, which I would encourage you to join, because everyone K-2 at least is starting this year. You know, grade 3 to 5 had a reading workshop, but now it's grade specific. So there's lots of great resources on there. There's other teachers saying, I tried this and this lesson was awesome with my kids, or you know, what are you guys going to do next? Are you going to try one of the if-then? Are you going to go into then 2? Are you going to go then 3? Are you doing this unit? So it's a great collaborative space. And it's Facebook, so it's easy. Okay, so what the teacher needs to be able to do reading workshop is the students need to have a book box that they bring every day to the classroom. The teacher needs the Units of Study book and a big flip chart like the one Emily was holding up in the auditorium. You need access to great mentor texts so you can demonstrate how would I use a strategy.
This is Reader's Workshop.
It is. You're in the right place. Come on in.
Find a table.
Hi, how are you? Good, how are you?
So you're going to pause 1 second so they can get access.
Sorry, we have to start right at 10.
No worries. Okay, so we need to share the document with you guys, so could you give us your email address?
CARAC.W.01.
Okay. And email address? This is the workshop.
DELA. Mila. It's in there?
Mila.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Mine is Abbas. ABBAS.
ABBAS.
Log in. That's the one.
And the last one who just came in, what's your email address? Email.
GARLI.
GARLI.
.A.
No, she cannot because
Christina?
I found it. No, GARLI. That's me.
There you go. Alright, so we're sending this to you so you can access it,
That was quick.
because you're going to need it when we do the collaborative interactive part.
Okay.
So we don't want to talk the whole time. So,
We just got started. We introduced ourselves and we're talking about how we got started doing reading workshop. Have you those that you came in, have you tried it out yet at all in your class?
yeah?
Lyra's room is next to mine, so I've had the privilege of her coming in and getting us going
Good.
for the year.
And you're in grade 3? Very nice.
Not yet.
So to rehash our we just started this, and I was just talking about what we did to get started. Now that this is shared with you, you have access to all those links. And basically, we just jumped into it. We said, we understand the writing workshop structure. Reading workshop seems very similar. Let's go for it. So we need the units of study, we need the first part, we need great mentor texts, which if you get the kit, it already comes with a bunch, but supplement your own in, especially if you have a page.
What is that?
The kit for writing workshop.
Reading workshop.
Reading.
Reading workshop. We're gonna mix it up all day.
The reading workshop kit for like grade 2 or grade 3 or grade 4.
Is this a Lucy?
The unit,
Yeah.
yeah, this is the book.
The reading units of study?
Great mentor text.
Yeah.
Oh, the mentor
It came with
text.
a pack of mentor texts with it.
Yeah.
There's like maybe 5 mentor texts with
Yeah,
it.
really?
There's not that many.
But it can be ordered with or without them, so
Yeah.
it depends on
Oh,
the
maybe
order
that's
for your
ordered.
school.
Or maybe somebody else has.
Do you have a set in Julia?
A teacher has.
Yes.
You have it.
Yes, we have a
How
set.
long have you been using?
It's brand new, so we just started this
Okay.
year. So some teachers are doing it, some are not.
We actually use a lot of our own books anyway.
Yeah.
And some of them are okay, but some are not as good.
Maybe what you can, I mean, maybe Courtney could share what's been written.
Courtney, you wanna hold it up? Do you have, Courtney, do you have one with you?
I'm sorry.
No, but I'm
You have it,
saying
hold it up.
maybe.
I don't have the mentor text.
You have the book.
I just brought my first book that I wanted to get into.
So you should have a set of books like that, the spiral books. And then there was another little set that came with it was actually
They look like writing.
books, like books that,
Literature.
yeah.
Actually, our concern was how to jump into it, like how to take the first step.
That's what
good.
that's what we're
starting
talking about
right now. Yep.
So, if you look at your slides, we were talking a little bit about how we kind of prepared ourselves to get started. There's a lot of good resources out there, and the good thing is that Christina said, everybody's just getting started because it is brand new. So that's why there's a lot of talk on this Facebook page about, how are you doing it, how's it going? Which is really helpful, you don't feel like you're the only one who's trying it out.
Those are good.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, definitely try some of these links, see what they have for your grade level on the Teachers College site. We watched a whole 40-minute video where the assessor came in and talked to the teacher beforehand and said, okay, what's your lesson going to be today? Then she showed and she did the lesson, and she conferenced with the student, and you saw the students in the background working on from their book boxes. And so we were seeing this and thinking, okay, this isn't so different than what we used to do in Daily 5. And then we wanted to do in guided reading. So it won't be such a big transition for our kids. And we didn't start this day one either. We started, late September, right before Eve?
After we got them settled into reminding them, because our kids all done Daily 5 before. So they knew how to read to self, read to someone. They've done it in kindergarten. And so they're familiar with those terms. And actually, we'll mention later that we decided to actually keep that terminology so that it was something that was consistent, because it's the same thing. If you look at what they're doing with a partner, reading to someone, it's the same.
Yes.
So we'll get more into that later.
And the books in your kit certainly help, but don't feel overwhelmed. Like you can't jump into it without reading all that. If you start seeing the mini lessons, start seeing the progression of that first unit, you can get your feet wet with it.
And the nice thing about this website too, Lucy Calkins, is they have it per grade level. So it's not like you're watching 5th grade and you teach kindergarten. They have it actually at your grade level. So we just watched the grade 1 one.
Yeah. So, and the last thing you need is a classroom library level, either by DRA or by some other system, and easily organized so the students can go book shopping, okay, and have a set of books that they keep in that book box that they bring to your classroom. Okay.
So talking about the reading workshop structure on our next slide here, we only have, I don't know how long your classes are, but we have 40 minutes really for a class period. And that's the first part that can seem kind of overwhelming, because if you look at reading workshop, the way that they want you to do it, just also we kind of feel the same about writing workshop. We wish you had more time. So we had to really focus in on say, okay, these are the elements of the reading workshop, this is what we want to do, and how much time can we allot to each part of it. So it's made us be really self-conscious about having our mini lessons short and making we're sticking to that time so that we don't run out of time to have the kids actually do the work. They need to be spending most of the time with them working, not us, not listening to us. So you'll see in the mini lesson I'm going to show you a little bit. It's actually 8 minutes is the one that I'm going to show you. So they're usually like 8-10 minutes. They can have read yourself time for 10 minutes, and you can see we use the Daily 5 terminology there. Kept keeping that up from what they'd already known. You have a little break, 5 minutes, just to kind of check in with them. And then they switch to partner reading time. Or in the upper grades, they're doing literacy circles in 4th and 5th grade.
reading that is deeper for the students rather than them just walking around. They pick a book and maybe it's a good one and maybe you get to meet with them. This feels like they're really getting that reading depth that they need. Okay, so the mini lesson. Don't start.
Alright, so the mini lesson is time for the teacher to introduce a new reading strategy with the entire group. So just like you do with writing workshop, you have a focus. And you introduce the strategy, and they always come and sit next to the reading partners. You'll see them coming and sitting in because we have them do a lot of training and talking and interacting with their reading partner. So we assign them a reading partner that's at their reading level. And that becomes the person that they really, we're talking actually in this mini lesson about coaching each other. Some of the lessons are designed for reading to self, really them focusing on it, and some are designed for reading with their partner. It's the same type of concepts, but it's them supporting one another as they're reading.
Can I just ask you, why do you pair them with someone at their same level? Like, I've kind of put lower with a little bit higher so that, because if I put two low ones together, they both mumble through it.
What grade level are you?
Third grade, but I've got several, non-English speakers. I put a strong English language child with a Greek one so that he can hear.
There'll be the one that's strong also be challenged.
Challenge,
Also
yes,
be
so
working.
maybe variety. I don't always have the same reading partner.
So,
We were using the same idea from writing workshop where Emily Delidos come to the school and said it's really important to have two writers at about the same level so that they can build their skills together and don't have that disparity between, oh, you're such a better writer than me, I'll never be that good, or I'm always helping them. And we found the same thing with the readers. If they work together, they're reading the same level books too.
Yeah.
So if you have a student at maybe a level 8 reading with a level like 4, they're gonna have different kinds of books. And they might not be able to help each other on the same skills if their books don't relate.
But you want them to have those rich discussions too.
They can have the rich
And to have
discussions.
those, you really need to have them at the same,
Yeah.
And we
I
found-
think.
And actually for the weak ones, it becomes too much of a challenge to be with somebody who's really a strong speaker, and then that person becomes more and more quiet, and the other person becomes the boss of the group. That also happens.
Yeah.
So,
So I'd just encourage you, try it out with 2 readers at about the same level and just see if it is working for them. Okay?
So can I ask you one more thing about partners? I assigned partners this year as well with the intention that they keep the partner for a long stretch. How often are you changing them, or how often are you changing them, or what are you thinking about right now for that?
I have only changed one so far because when I put, he was excelling faster than, he was like passing up basically. He was excelling faster in his reading level than the partner he was with. So I actually put him with another stronger reader because we'll talk about later too. We also, we pull them for groups as well, and so they're reading the same book, and which is really nice to have them reading, at least one of their books being the same book in their book box that they're working on together in partners. And other than that, I haven't changed much yet. So you changed a couple because of behavior.
I've changed a couple.
That can happen sometimes if they don't quite mesh.
Yeah, they weren't really meshing together, and I did also have one who was accelerating much faster than her partner, and I had another student come up from the literacy intervention group, and he was also at a level 6, and she had passed into a level 6, and I said, okay, this is a good move, you're not together, I'll keep these 2 lower ones who are still struggling kind of on the same path. And then I had moved one because he was just not wanting to work with a partner in any capacity, so he ended up being kind of with a different set. But yeah, definitely try them on the same level and just see how it works for you.
Maybe you'll see too when we do the partners working together later in the video, you'll see them coaching each other. So like a level 4 would have a hard time coaching a level 12 or 8 even.
Right.
You know, so they can't help them figure out that word necessarily and talk about the book because they're not at that point yet. So just something to think about.
Yeah. But for now, we're going to talk about the mini lesson.
Can I backtrack one number? What does DRA stand for?
DRA.
Developmental reading
You
assessment.
keep mentioning it. And I-
Yeah.
That's the assessment that we use, developmental reading assessment. It's developmental reading assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the program that we just use in Jamaica. I don't know. Other schools use it?
Do you guys use it?
Do you use it? Yeah, so we assess their reading level certain times of the year and such.
Very thorough.
Yeah.
Developmental reading assessment.
But it would also work if you were working from Fontes of Pinnell levels or Reiki levels.
Yeah.
However you use that.
As far as we're actually using AR also, because we have accelerated readers program in our school, so we use AR also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever your assessment system is, it's just figuring out kids at a common level.
This DRA comes with the benchmark assessment also, right?
It's very
It's based on the benchmark
Yeah,
assessment.
DRA is a benchmark assessment even though books are level.
Yeah, I've heard that it's a very intricate and very.
Okay, so we're just going to show you an example of a mini lesson just so you can see the structure of it. And just some background. This is towards the end of the first unit. We did builders just building their good reading habits. Was the first unit in our grade 1 booklet. So these kids already know a lot of the strategies, and you'll hear them talking about them, reviewing them a little bit as I go. But this one is focusing in on partners and how they can coach each other to use these good strategies.
Hopefully our audio works.
Thanks, Brian.
So a little bit about it. So today we're going to do another strategy, and it's actually one you already have, but it's something to do with the word. Okay? We've been talking a lot about using our good habits to figure out tricky words, right? So today we are going to do another one where you to think about how you could use That's what you do at the very beginning, right? Yeah, all the time. Try it 2 ways, exactly. That's another really good strategy. So what were the 2 ways that we would have tried? Okay, try it 2 ways. What are the 2 ways? Remember we said we flipped the what? A, the vowel. What's the vowel sound? So I just said, well, abs. If I said web, you can tell me, try it 2 ways, right, Mariah? That you're talking about? Very good. So I'm going to try well, a ways. I'm going to flip that vowel. Very good. Okay? After someone else said you had a running start. Where was it? You? What do you mean by that? That's another one of our strategies.
Yeah, you could like do it like
Okay, so to them, and I could definitely grow the group, so they figure out from the meaning of the sentence, right? Okay, so now what you do for one? What would you do for one?
oh, but anyway,
Next, what I could figure out, she's the baby. Theory.
you could check with the pictures and then double check it.
Double check it, that's right, good job. Oh, you guys are so smart. Exactly, if I try that, is there ways you want? And I think if I did it right, I could go back and double check it and make sure I got it right. Very good. Okay, I think, do you guys think you can do this with your partners? Yeah, try our strategies and help them not tell them the word. Okay, here's what I'd like you to do. I think we'll just do partner reviews. Go back. Let's do partner reviews today. We just talked about it. So we, as your partner in your spot, I'm going to come around and review your strategies to help your partner figure out what you were.
All right. So teachers, I'll give you a minute to turn and just talk to each other. What did you see? What did you like? What are your thoughts on your lessons? Go.
The opportunity to practice is, I think, is really beneficial. It just makes, sometimes we just say, okay, no, go coach your partner. But they kind of practiced it so they know what it means.
Shows them how to do it.
What kind of guides them in doing it, yeah.
She's already done, she's already gone through. Yeah, kind of times to see.
When she was reading the word, please.
Come in and write the pictures.
You ask him what the word. No, like, what was she reading? She was like reading the word.
Was it spelling it out? She was pretending not to know the word so that they could get this, so that they could help her with strategies.
Or they would start reading on their own.
Well, like when they are reading on their own with their partner and their partner doesn't know the word, like how can you help your partner? How can you coach your partner? So,
in case another partner is little stronger in reading, he or she can coach. No, maybe what if they're on the same level?
well, they should be relatively close and level.
Maybe the same level,
But they have different knowledge, like if they know different words.
one will be faster, one will be and one have a good fluency, the other one. So help each other. Yeah, help each other.
I guess differentiating for the kids too.
Yeah.
What's the difference between helping and just telling them the answer? Because if you just tell me the answer, that doesn't help me. But if you help me use the strategy, then I can use that again.
Only partners are good, and then we do individual. Like he's on a higher level. He wants to help, but he doesn't tell them what to do. He just gives out the answer. So we have to So he doesn't know how to put it together. So we need to train him. So this is the way to, yeah.
Anybody have any takeaways from that they want to take with the group? Anything that looks like something doable? Does it look familiar? Kind of like
Yeah.
I just like the active engagement part where they're thinking about how they would coach you. Because what you want them doing is with their partner, thinking about how they can coach their partner, and a lot of times they really don't know that difference between telling them what that word is, and they see that as help. What we want them to be doing is the coaching, and they need to learn how to do that before we can really expect it of them. So I think it's really valuable.
like some guided instruction before they just go off into it, because reading workshop, that was my fears when I first started it, was are we working independently with their partners? How are we going to be sure they're really using the strategies? So by teaching the strategy, they've learned all these strategies and they're doing it individually, and now they always say you really know something, you need to teach it, right? So they're teaching it to their partner really, and they get stuck. So.
And then are they using the same book? I noticed in your what you sent us that you like to use the same text.
Yeah, when we were talking about the partners in the book boxes. So the students get to pick some books in their book box that they've chosen individually. And then I'm going to bring it up in a minute, but we give them a teacher book that's shared among their level. So I would say that all 9 level 6s get Johnny's Birds, and I give that to all 4 kids in that group. And so they all see that common book. So because the level 4s are also grouped, level 6s were also grouped, I have a 6 and a 6 who sit together, I'm going to show on this slide, and when they get to partner time, they can read that common book together, and they actually work through those strategies and figure out those tough words before the teacher even sees them. So they get to be the first line of defense, the first person to say, oh, I'm stuck on this word, partner help me, instead of teacher help me. It's really nice.
I give those books out at the beginning of the week, and then we meet with the groups later in the week. So they've had that book in their book box all week. They've been reading to themselves, they've been reading to their partner. And this week we did a really fun lesson where we gave them little sticky notes, and they are marking now words that they want to try to get coached on with their partners. So they're reading themselves, they're like, man, they're going up to the charts, they're looking at all the strategies, and they're trying to figure out how to solve it. Sometimes you just can't. So I said, okay, move on, don't get stuck on that word, for those 5 minutes, half your reading time, and not be able to keep going. So mark it, and then you guys your partner work on that one. And if you still don't get it, then we go run a conference. You'll see in a minute, we do conferencing with the kids. So it's getting them to kind of just take ownership of their own reading time and continue forward.
And you saw one of the charts that Kristie has up here on her easel, but there's a clip from one of my videos that shows all the charts that I've got them home in my room, and you can see all the little strategies that they've pulled out. Also, reading workshop is fantastic because they give you these little sticky notes that you just stick on the easel. You never have to make an easel chart again.
Yeah. Reading workshop, you're constantly writing out your charts. This one, you stick them up. And then when I'm done with these other ones, move on from them, I'm taking a picture of them and sticking it up on my bulletin board. So they have all the charts all the time without having to hang all over your room. Big size.
So they really thought about what would make teachers' lives.
Do you mean that it's already printed?
Yeah.
All these notes are pre-printed.
It comes in a little packet. It's really nice. You can just rip it off. I haven't started, but I took it home just to look at it and just going, oh my goodness, so much easier.
I still like making the charts with the kids. I still make them with the kids.
I mean,
You'll see it in the other video. One last note about the videos. We are only showing you a clip, but we actually uploaded the entire 40-minute mini lesson. So you can go back and find on YouTube through the link and watch the entire thing if you feel like doing that.
Don't want to make you do this today.
We can't
That's the
promise.
longest video we're going to show you today.
Yeah. And the last note is they sit next to their reading partner when they're sitting at the mini lesson spot, so they can actually turn and talk to that person. So they're not sitting by their best friend, they're sitting by a reading partner. Now, about read to self. So Kristie just sent them all to read to self. Actually, you sent them to read to partner, but normally they go to read to self. And we've had them sitting back to back, just because it was recommended by Lucy in the videos. And they sit back to back with the partners, reading to themselves. I started off the year without having them sit like this, and they were chatty. They wanted to talk to their partner because, I'm sitting right next to you. Of course I want to talk to you. When you turn away from them, it gives them this little space that they can really sit and just process the book on their own.
Once again, with structure. Like, you find that, I mean, teachers, you know, like having the structures in place. This is what's expected of me. This is, you know, this is my comfort. I know what I need to do every step of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, and when they're sitting back to what they're reading, teacher assigned book, what they're reading.
They're reading any of the books.
Any book, okay.
Anything they want. They could read that teacher book.
No,
They
pictures. The book boxes in these pictures, so they each have a box with a name on it. And every week, that's why we need you to have access to lots of good books, level books, because they choose. So every Sunday, our kids come in, they choose new books. It's their choice, but they're a good fit because they know what level they are. They put it in their box, one book we give them. That'll go in every week.
Did either she give you a reason, or did you have a reason for having them sit with their partner during Read to Self? Because usually Read to Self, I have them off.
Spread out.
Oh, I
Spread
can
out.
tell you this one because I've
Yeah.
made this mistake before, right? This is so much helpful. Okay, so before, like Christina said, we both didn't have them doing this. And so
Yeah.
we were like, man, because I'd say, okay, go read this out, pick up the spot, right, they read, and then when it's time to work with their partner, then it's all this, oh, where's my partner? Like,
Okay.
hey, it's here 2 minutes.
Okay.
That's all they do. They're sitting back to back, read this out, okay, time to read
Okay.
partner. They just churn, they sit, eat,
All right.
you know, I'll eat. That's it. There's like no waste of time anymore, which is like really great. We only have the 40 minutes.
I usually have them alternate days because of the mini lesson, and I'm wanting them to build stamina. Reading to Self for 10 minutes for mine is not, I feel like is not enough. So like one day we'll do I'll do my mini lesson, they'll do Read to Self. And then the next day I'll do my mini lesson, they'll do partner reading. So maybe for me that I wouldn't do that. I was just curious like why.
Yeah,
If
the
there was-
10 minutes is definitely constrained by that 40-minute block that we've got.
Right.
It would be much better to have it as a separate time. But at least for reading workshop itself, that's the reading to self time we have. You could have like a dear time maybe at the end of the day, or this could hopefully be something they take home with them. And they're able to read to themselves using all these strategies. But yeah, actually when we watched the original grade 1 video that they put up on the Teacher Scholar site, we saw them sitting like this and we were like, no, we don't really like that. We're not going to try that. So then out of experience, we were like, oh, maybe we should.
It is just much better.
I can see the point of it if they're moving from session to session and you want them, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you do the daily drive thing where you have choice? Or not?
We have
Or
it.
have you told them you're gonna do read to self and then read to a partner?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
during this
that's the
block.
set.
Yeah, during the reading workshop, that's the program. That's during this block. We still have them. We have another language arts block in our schedule where they do word work and they can listen to reading and words are away. There's so much to cram into one day, but this is the structured reading workshop and it's been really effective because it's one thing to do it themselves, you know, all these strategies, but then like I said, when they're doing it with a partner, it just opens up all these conversations and they're so excited to read to each other and they're still using the same strategies. So for us, it's really important that they have both times for the kid.
So we have isolated that they only read to self and read to someone during reading workshop. We're not giving them that choice during language arts. Instead, that's more of a word work and phonics and listening to reading kind of time. So you can see they're very engaged. Okay, one thing you're going to see from the videos from now on is that we go around with a notebook which has conferencing forms in it, which look exactly like this. Okay, and we conference with the readers using these forms because it makes us give them a compliment, a teaching point, and a goal. And it just keeps us accountable to making sure we're talking to every student, we're making sure we're giving them that little bit of praise and that feedback. And I use it a lot with my groups. Kristie hasn't been using it as much with groups, but it's really however you want to structure your conferencing. This has helped us.
And this is just a free thing I found Teacher Pay Teacher. I liked it because it was really simple. So actually, I use it for my math workshop, my writing workshop. So it's easy for me because it's consistent. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to run the conference. So you can use any kind of form you want to. I mean, Emily showed us some during.
It's
I think I put it
teachers. I think it's on the resources page.
Yeah, the actual link to it where you can print out for free. This is just a screenshot of it.
Just so you know what we're going to show you in a minute. So now we're going to my classroom and we're conferencing with a reader. So this would be a time that I might go around and I'm seeing you're all reading to yourself and I say, oh, I want to pull you today. Or maybe you're on my binder as I haven't seen you in a couple days. I want to see how you're reading. So I pulled this student who I believe was reading at a level 6 when I recorded this. And right before I start the conference, I'm going to show you those anchor charts that I have posted in the room. Oh, and a little bit of the mini lesson so you know what the strategy is.
Before you start, will teach teaching first grade, what is your lowest, I'm getting back to this DRA again,
Yeah.
what is the lowest level and the highest level that you would have in your class?
It depends on the year, but
Okay.
I have an EAL student who came in with 0 English, and he reads at a level 1 or an A. And I think the highest one we have this year is a 16, but last year I remember coming in and there was a girl at 20. So they need to be at level 16 in grade 1 by the end of the year. But of course, there's ones that are already 28s, they're already 30s. It depends what they come in with. We expect them to come in at about a level 4 from KG, and they get to 16. So it's a lot of growth in grade 1, but you know, every student has their own process, has their own learning.
To add to that, like in grade 3, they come in around 28 and they leave at a 38.
38, yeah.
Something, so it's not like the growth now is down to
Alright.
like 10
Okay.
as it
Good
goes
to
up.
know.
Yeah.
And then if you search it on Google, it comes up with this whole continuum of it shooting from this grade to this grade to this grade to this grade.
The first grade is a really big growth year.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying this, because I'm a librarian.
Yes.
Suddenly this year, these kids are coming saying, can I have a level 4 book? I don't know what the hell a level 4 book is. Can I have a level 12 book? So it's good to know,
Yeah.
you know, what your range is, so that as librarians, we can sort of
We need to
get some
connect.
idea of this.
Yeah, definitely
Yes.
connect with the teachers
Yes,
so that
yes,
you
that's
know
right,
what
exactly.
they're getting.
There's the websites too that we were actually talking about this morning where you can type in a title of a book and find out what level it is.
It's a AR level.
This DRA.
This one, I've got
Yeah.
DRA level, I've got AR level.
We have AR.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
Mom has
Fontes and Pinnell
on all
will
the
do
books, I
that,
pasted it.
right?
You can find it on.
But we have to have a system.
On all the books, we pasted it and the program is
Okay.
running with us.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Yeah, no worries. Good question.
upset you. But it is a good question, because,
Yeah.
But one thing we want to foster too, though, is that independence in knowing that what's a good fit book for me, not just saying, oh, I'm a 4, I'm a 6.
Yeah.
We want them to be able to look at a book and go, this is a really good fit for me, or this one's not a good fit for me, and here's why. So I think a lot of times they'll recommend having part of your library level, but not the whole thing,
That was
because we
actually-
want that independence in
Yeah.
choosing books as well,
Right.
that they're not tied to that number as like their identity as a reader is I'm a 4.
That was one that was brought to me last year because I was doing my entire library. I wanted my entire library level because my kids were going and pulling books and I was finding kids that weren't finding it was just for me levels. And then the gal that I was working with who had been doing these readers and writers workshops for Miss Patty was like, don't do the whole thing. Do some of them and then let them explore, let them have that freedom. So you can just use a website, like I use a Scholastic and I was just introduced to the Fontes and Pinnell, 2 websites. If the kids really want to know one, you can quick look up a level 4, like a title.
Level 5, have you ever heard of that?
It doesn't have any difference, like,
Yes,
yes.
Scholastic. I don't know about Fontes and Pinnell.
Kids will read a page and
Yeah.
there's 5 words they don't know.
But they are aligned
So
on.
in that book,
They are
that
aligned
book
on.
box you had on the
They're
floor,
all aligned on.
children would
They're
choose
conversions.
that book box,
Right.
and would they choose books that not just on their level, but like you were saying,
It has to have some at their level. Yeah,
At some
so
other
they
level.
can use the strategy. Yeah. If it's a book that's way too hard, they're gonna have a hard time. Using
see,
strategy.
that's what we're getting in the library. Can I have a level 5 for, for their book box or whatever? Yeah, so.
But for me, particularly with library, like, I really want that to be choice time. So if they're choosing a book, you know, a lot of times I'll have kids choosing a book that's really interesting to them, but is way off level for them. So I may say, oh, that's a good one to read with mom and dad, or something like that. But I really want them to have some choice in what they're choosing with library. Like parents will come to me and saying they're choosing books that are too hard. And like, well, you know, that's that time that I want them to have some freedom there in my classroom. In their book box, I really want them to have books that are mostly like 80–90% that are on level.
We're getting parents saying that too. Can you please choose books on their level? I tend to say,
I want them to have that choice time. That's really
And that's time
important.
for you to get them then.
Yeah.
They should be reading to their children anyway. Okay, let's keep on with the.
So you're going to see a bit of my mini lesson just to know the strategy that we're working on for today, and then I'll show you a clip of the anchor charts, and then you'll see a bit of the conference with this one student.
Last time we were talking about good habits, right? So we talked we could check the picture, and we start all the parts of the word. We can get a running start and jump over a word that's tough for us. We can double check the one, make sure we read the right word. Yeah? Does that seem right? Does it make sense? You know, we can call it two ways. With an A or an A sound. Okay? A long vowel or a short vowel.
Okay, so those are just some of the strategies they were working on. Okay, so here are my anchor charts. Like I said, they're already pre-made. Okay, then here's the conference.
online. But usually they say that we have to go to them rather than putting them out. What do you prefer?
I would pull them away because, especially since they're sitting back to back with their partner, I'm going to distract their partner if I'm right next to them. And when we watched the video that grade 1, she pulled them to the carpet, the mentor teacher. So, we'll just follow that model. So I wouldn't want to take him like too far out of his space, but you know, he's still in the classroom, he's still near his partner. And actually this was a fairly long conference because I ended up having him read the whole story. Yeah. But usually I'd want to touch on a couple of key points with him. And sorry?
About how often do you do that?
I try to conference with one reader a day, and then I'm meeting with a group the last 2 days of the week. Yeah. I'm just cycling through, because I put Post-its in my notebook, and so as soon as I've met with that reader, I move the Post-it over, so I know who I still need to get to, and then I cycle back.
And she's the
Any kids that do not want to read to you, come across kids that are not willing to read.
I had one last year, but we weren't doing any kind of reading workshop. He just was a very quiet, shy student. He didn't want to have that light on him, so I would take him out in the hallway and read with him one-on-one. But that was during this kind of weird literacy time we did last year, so it wasn't as structured. But I never had a student who would up and refuse.
More often they go on this basketball side.
Yeah.
On that hard for them.
Yes.
That's a comprehension question and like, they like make a connection like, or that I found this last, depending on the kid, you know, if it's a child that's really vocal and about expressing their opinions and things like that, typically they'll read.
And over the time that you've started, have you seen them improving? Do they want to share and exciting time for them?
Yeah, and they like working with that partner. It's their buddy.
Comfortable.
We get to read together every day. It's partner time. They get so excited about partner time.
It's a big conversation.
And we can really hear them using the strategies. I'll walk around and hear like, you need coaching your time, or no, try taking a running start, or try sounding it out, check the picture, do this, don't forget to take your sleep peek. Oh, I forgot my sleep peek. Or I was helping her sound out a word and we got it. It's really great. She's so excited about it. Which actually is the next thing. You guys get to try it. So, at your table group, you're going to choose the video that you want to watch. So librarians can choose any of them. You might want to do one above and below grade level, and you can take some notes about what would you do when you were conferencing.
I put the DRA levels in there in case you want to see, because like we said, there's a big range in your readers. Okay, so that's DRA level. So you just click on the link and you can watch the little, it's just, they're very short, just child reading. And then you can think about what kind of, you know, content I get them, what the teaching might be, and what would the goal be. I have set them.
Oh, yeah, that's
So you might want to watch it together.
Can you see doing what you want to
We're going to move into the reading with partner time now. I want to give you time to look at this. It'll take a little, those clips are a little bit longer because they're reading with partnership.
Remember, you can come back to this another time and listen to the audio again in a better setting. Okay, so reading to partner. So they do the read to self. I usually conference with one reader. Then I say, okay, it's time to read to partner. And this is also the moment where we might pause for a mid-workshop teaching point. So we might remind them, okay, when you go read to your partner, remember coaching or time, and don't tell them, need help, and we get a book introduction. You know, we might say whatever the strategy is for the day or was recently. But when they read to partner, they either just simply turn around in their seats because they were sitting back to back, or they sit EEKK, elbow to elbow, knee to knee, which is what these two students at the bottom are doing, and they share the book between them so they can both see. I just got a couple of photos from the students reading, and you can all different configurations So, some of the upper grades also, no, not yet. We also read with the group on the last 2 days of the week, which for us are Wednesday and Thursday. And we wanted to keep some elements of our guided reading. So, do you want to talk about how this looks?
Sure. We've already talked about this quite a bit, actually. So let's skip over a little bit. But we talked about how we gave them a book that was at their level, and so I had like 6 kids in the group, right? So I'd say, okay, blue group, this is your book for the week. I give it to them on Sunday. And they have their book box all week. Then on Wednesday or Thursday, we go ahead and pull that group. Because we were used to using a guided reading program in JBL. And actually I've used that for years. And the benefit of this is we still get to have that time with the group, but we're not pulling groups every day. Where before we were kind of locked into this, okay, I do these 2 groups this day, these 2 groups that day. And it's just that round robin, that old style of this is how we read together. One kid's looking off this way, he's not really interested, so I hear the other kid stumbling over words, you know, there's a book they haven't seen. This kind of has alleviated all of that boredom for them because they've seen the book all week. They really know this book. They're coming to the table with connections already, with knowledge about how they've connected to this book and words they've learned, and they know the setting, they know things that they thought were exciting in the book. They have a favorite page already. They used all these strategies all week with this book. So they come, as I found, my groups aren't taking that long because they come ready to discuss this book. They know it, they feel confident, and we read it together, we discuss it, and I've even gone where before I would read it and then try to retell it. Well, now I've kind of checked in, like, who could tell me about this book, and we'd all contribute before we even read the book. You know, who had a favorite page already that you can't wait to get to again. So it's kind of flip-flopped the whole guided reading effort in kind of a new way, and it seems to be working better, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
So we pull those groups on Wednesday and Thursday typically, and then they get a new book. We take that book back, they get a new book on Sunday. We have the benefit of a really great resource room in JBL. I don't know if you guys have this, but we have lots of books that are leveled, and they're all bound up in little groups of 6. So we just go, we check out our books, and we have those, and we're able to pass them out. If you don't have that, that's something you might want to build up, or ask if you can help build up your school.
Can I ask something?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm a very visual, I have to picture this in my classroom. And I'm picturing this with chapter books.
Mm-hmm.
And kids being at different places at different times.
Mm-hmm.
Has there anyone in here, can they, like, how does that look?
When I've used chapter books with guided reading, I would give them an assignment. Basically, by the time we meet again, you need to have read up to chapter 4, or you need to have read up to chapter 2, whatever it is that I pace ourselves at. So that and some do read ahead, and that gets a little bit tricky sometimes because then when we're talking about it, they'll say something. I'm like, wait a minute, you haven't been there yet. Some do read ahead, but still, I kind of give them a guide that you need to be at least at this place, so we can talk about it together. And most were pretty good about staying on task. I mean, you know, being that I'm teaching 2nd grade, those are my high flyers anyway.
Okay.
So,
yeah, because I'm looking at this and I'm liking the partner reading. I'm liking all of that. And there are aspects of the guided reading that I like. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm having a hard time. Like, this is great when you have a short book and everybody's on the same page. We've read it all, but here we haven't quite yet.
That kind of leads into the next slide, actually.
Oh, okay.
See this? Oh, you guys have your screen too. But I went up to 4th and 5th grade because I was thinking exactly the same thing you are, and they use literacy circles. So this is actually from 5th grade classroom. And the teachers there told me that they do group them by level still, but they have a group that reads together. And your role is more as a facilitator of that group. And they actually record their thoughts in journals. So the kids, it's really cool. Like, I sat and watched this group for quite a while. You see on the video. And they all read it. They were all on task. They were all reading the story, discussing it. And this little guy here, he was kind of his turn. He was kind of the leader. He gives them roles to play in the group, and they can facilitate their own group like that. She checks in with the group, obviously, but they're also recording things in their journals. So they're writing down connections they've made, or they stop and they summarize. I was in a 4th grade group, and they got to the chapter. They said, and when the girl was ready to go on, the other girl said, "Oh, we got to summarize first." And they were writing down their journal.
each person has a job, like there's a connector,
Okay.
you know, a connector, a facilitator, you know, a summarizer. So each person in the group has a job, and they go around and they have to make a connection to the text, or
Okay.
there's all.
The jobs change
Yeah.
too. They
And he changed, yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
They all get to do that. And I was actually in Steve's room is where I saw the Rosa summarizing.
Yeah.
So I think they're all doing that. So we have, I'll show you a little clip of me conversing with the kids. They read with their partners each day. Like I said, they become coaches for one another. This is after this mini lesson about coaching your time. So you can see them really using it and me checking in to make sure that they have kind of grasped that. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you two separate partners just so you can see how each of those are using it. And again, I'm recording things about how they're using this and how they're working together. But when you get to your own time, or that you work again on your own after this, think about what you would do with your group or your partners. And we have clips for the older kids of literacy circles, so groups reading, and then of the younger students for reading This is after the mini lesson. Actually, this time I just had them read partners, so I wanted to get this part down for you. their initial instinct is to jump in and tell the word. Honestly, so that's been something that we've had to work on. What strategies can you use to help your partner?
If there's some time, sometimes when you say, put your time to make day topics, like, oh, yeah, you know what, more time to work on yourself. So a lot of times doing that, you're thinking, I'm playing over.
everyone's busy, right? The kids are busy and the teacher's busy because we go around and try to meet with those groups and just trying to see if they're actually using the strategies that we've been teaching them. So I think the next one is when you get to go ahead and do it. Where's the button? Oh, okay. All right, so if you look at the next slide, this is your chance to go ahead and try again. Like I said, K1 and 2 and 3 are all partner reading. 4 and 5 are literacy circles. So you can look at any of them you want to. If you want to do a literacy circle looks like, you can do that as well. We didn't record any of our groups with us. We figured you probably do that part. So go ahead and take some time at your table and watch one of them and see if you can think of what a compliment you would give, a teaching point, and maybe go for that partnership.
Yeah, I was gonna say, second grade one is my kids.
Well, I was saying that she could.
All right. You guys had time to watch the video. This last time is just time for team collaboration, which you guys are already doing. But just some questions to kind of get you thinking. You just kind of put up there, what do I feel like I'm doing well in my reading instruction? So you might be thinking, you know what, I'm doing things that are working already, and I want to keep some elements of that. Like that's what we did with our groups that we're pulling. That's why we kept a little guided reading group in there. So what's going well already? What do I want to still keep? What do I feel I would like to improve or implement? What do I want to try? Is there anything here that you think, hey, I could try that in my room? Or that I need to know more about before I do it? And then what did I learn today that I can take back and try in my classroom? And then we encourage you just to make a plan today. So it's one thing to go to a conference and think, oh, that was great. And I've done this many times and then not really take anything away or go back and try it. You know, now that it's fresh in your mind and you don't want to put everything off. You may not want to jump into all this at once, but you might think, well, there's something I've learned today that I can try to start weaving into my reading instruction already. If you're here with a colleague from your school, you can encourage each other, make a plan together even, and try to say, hey, let's try this, let's talk about it as we try it. You know? So go ahead and take a little bit of time to do that now, and that is all we have today after you're done.
The resources.
Yeah, oh, sorry about the resources. That's up there for you to look at.
Yeah.
All the things we were talking about today.
Yeah. So here's the writing sheet you guys were asking about, and then the units of study from the Reading Writing Project, and then the Facebook group, which I would suggest you all join right away. It's very useful. And last, our email addresses if you have any random follow-ups or want to see anything else. The videos, as long as you go through that link, you should always be able to access them. We're not going to take them off. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel free to share this out with anybody else that might want to look at from your team at school as well.
Fine work.
So we'll go back to the questions.
Yeah, there's your question if you want to see it.
No, she's sick today.
Yes.